actually flush. Like sometimes you can just have a flatness in the market, but you could have an overall distribution like in individual names. So we'll have to kind of take those things into account, like when we're trading, is like the indexes can mask a lot of damage sometimes. So like yesterday the market's flat, but we saw a million stocks just get smoked out, and so those are the things that we'll have to be aware of. So when you see this, it's like, okay, it's range, but then you see stocks like D-Dog just get smoked out, and then a lot of the leaders, like Peloton, same thing, right? It's getting smoked out here, and so like now you're starting to get a little bit of action into some of these names that is showing, I wouldn't say distribution because you're not necessarily getting on the volume side, but you're definitely getting it on the price action. So let's talk a little bit about the watch list. I think we keep it real simple for today. The simple reason is that if if we're having a fade off into the market, or like in certain types of stocks, then they're all gonna kind of move together. So you can kind of see. Hold on here. So you got like a flat open, which is good right now. Like you see, most stocks are just kind of like 0.4%, 0.9%. So that'll give us a little bit of leeway to take it, whichever way we want. But let's go into the kind of earnings plays, and then we'll see from there what's moving on. BPTH, damn. So BPTH got some news out. It is clearing a couple levels here. You can see this thing, frankly, it's got a history of kind of like once a year just getting pumped. Maybe this is today's day. Not my particular flavor. Hey, Vincent, what's going on? BCOV, junk. I don't know what's up with this Corsair. This thing's been just flying up every day, but it's getting too extended to really do anything with. So I think we probably leave that one alone. Repple. So the interesting part, this Rapple's got like a really nice daily chart. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing, even though it's gapping up 8%. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing start to fly around. That thing looks pretty good. What do you think? Yeah, it looks pretty good. I'd keep an eye on this level over here. If it starts to bust through, then I think we're going to have a chance here. I'd actually add that to the watch list. If the volume can stay in Repple, it's going to give us a shot on it. Yeah, that's nice. So add that to the list. Cool. SSNT, junk. So Tesla has earnings out today. Not a huge reaction yet, 4%. But I definitely think that this one is going to be. I definitely think this one's going to have a chance. Like if you start to cook, you start to break out over 450 or so, it's going to have a chance to get going. In general, that's something to kind of keep in mind. If it starts to go, it may even take some of the other kind of car plays with it. So hopefully, you're seeing a lot of them. You're seeing a lot of them just been getting smoked out every day. So who knows? Maybe one of them, maybe the couple of them will start to bounce soon. This is incredible. I've been staring at this thing for 10 days though. It's not really that hot. Let's see. Anybody else see anything good on the earnings side? I didn't see that many heaters. LVS. So LVS saying swings a loss after sales plummet. Somehow it makes it go up. Damn. Yeah, so when you get so this stock's got earnings up, but like when it does something like this is not going to do anything. You see, like you're just stuck in range. When you get something like that, it's not doing anything. Hey, all media, what's going on? Junk. So this Corsair's an exhaustion gap at this point. Like you've had a gap like 4 days in a row. It's been getting upgraded, so most likely somebody. Win, junk. Jordan, you know nobody wants to play AT&T. All right, let's see on the downside what's cooking. Chipotle. So Chipotle's got some earnings out. Man, this thing's really hard to trade because it's $1,000 though. I'd probably leave that one alone. Look, this Tesla is going to be in play today. It may bounce off this 20 SMA, but if it breaks under, like I think we could take this thing down. You know, its breakout spot was like in 98. So like a lot of these hot momentum stocks, they're starting to bleed out. Like I would actually put this on watch. If it breaks under the 20 SMA, we could take it down. But frankly, it may bounce there. We won't know till, we start watching it a little bit. We won't know till we start watching a little bit closer. But I think that's going to be top of the list. Yeah, that's top of the list today. Like this GSX had some news out yesterday. It opened at 80, actually trended down the whole day. You may get more downside down to 61. Now, I personally, this stock is really tough to trade, so I'd leave that alone. It's always got a spread and it fakes everybody out. All right, so it doesn't look like there's any like kind of heaters in the pre-market. So let's just go into kind of the regular watch list. All right, so the solar stocks all rolled over yesterday. Frankly, they were monster trends the whole day. Now you're sitting on some support on these first tests of 20 SMAs since the breakout spots. My guess is today we get an inside, and I don't know for sure, but my guess is on some of these we get what's called an inside day. An inside day is where you bust back into the previous day's range, but like not with any gusto, right? Like you just get kind of like a little oversold kind of dead cat bounce, but not with any gusto. And then you chop around a little bit. If they take out all these solars, take out yesterday's lows, then and stay under there, then there's no inside day. Then we're gonna keep getting the fade, and they are all really extended. So you may get some day 2 plays on these, but usually like a one rest day and then the third day like they roll over. That works out really well for the most part. So like just something to kind of keep mind of. Like I think all these are gonna have some more downside on them. The question is just if it's going to be today, or do we need an inside day? But I would add JKS. Man, this thing was a shredder yesterday. JKS, ENPH. Now, ENPH trades real thin at the open. Like yesterday, I was fucking around with it, and there was like 500,000 shares, for a good chunk of the day, and then it just started coming in hot, once it started to break down. So just kind of be mindful. Like it does trade a little bit thin on that side of things. So I keep both of these, even CSIQ has come back to a little bit of support, so you may get a little bit of bounce on this. Now let's talk about like some stocks that are holding up here that I like. ZM, fucker, it already started its bounce. I was hoping for a little dip to 500 on this. It's already started to kind of push pre-market, so I won't chase it up. But you've come back from 590, down into this old breakout zone here. It's due for a bounce. Whether it happens there's two ways to play it. Whether we get it like kind of at this old spot at 500, or if it remounts to 90 EMA and the daily, either one of those would suffice as like a bounce candidate, to get this thing going. Like that one's gonna look pretty good. If you need another long, like this PayPal is busted loose here, the range on it is actually tradable. PayPal is like a thicker stock, right? You get like a 1 billion share float on this bad boy. But in general, like you're busting out the highs. Like this is like, right, this is the biggest bank in the world now. JD. JD's like a real nice sweet spot here. You got 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests. If it can like push over this 84.50, like that one's gonna have some heat on it. Like you got a big time breakout setting up on this on a really nice trending stock. So I definitely keep that one right in your pocket. BYND, it's been having just like a slow kind of bleed on this, right? See like how like you just slow bleed. So this is like what they call like a, it's just tightening up its range here. Now you're starting to sit around your 20 SMA. If you look at kind of like a 15-minute chart, it's just been sitting in a channel here. If it starts to kind of creep its way back, keep an eye on like maybe about 180 or so. If it starts to bust over that level and starts to build on it, then that's gonna, then it's gonna take this thing back into 190. One thing is like when a stock is pulling back, the price action on it is gonna look nasty because that's essentially what a pullback is. But what'll happen is as it starts to hold somewhere and it starts to build, that price action is gonna look a lot different, and you're gonna start to see different things happen. Like you'll start to see the mini pullbacks get supported. You'll start to see a little bit of a cleaner look on it, and then it'll start to go. This is actually, if you think about like when you're looking at pullbacks, like what's an orderly pullback, what's not. If you take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days, right, to come back 20% or 20 points, I should say, not percent, then that's pretty orderly. What essentially happened, you're grinding down a couple dollars every day, working off that overbought condition. So when you get an overbought condition, you have to work it off, right? So that's going to happen in 2 ways. Number one, via price, meaning you're pulling back in price, or you can correct and work off that overbought condition with time, which means you just go sideways. So you're kind of grinding down into this. It'll be just one of these days, like as it starts to hold support, you'll see a $5, $6, $7 candle just pop up right at the open and get the shred on this one. It looks pretty good though. It looks pretty good. This STNE, out of all like the tech stocks, right, or software application stocks, this one's actually holding up the best here. If you are looking for like a long on something that's actually holding, this one's got a nice breakout over here, and it's already like it's really been tightened up over here, and you're starting to kind of come out of that zone, and I like the overall look on this. Like I think this one, and it moves a little bit. It's got good enough range, but it won't give you that crazy range, that's gonna stress you out. It'll be nice, easy. It's a nice, easy trader. So for the most part, a simple watch list. IPOB is still my favorite chart. It's just tight. It's marinating here. It's marinating here. The market's obviously kind of been shady on these kind of stocks. Like SPACs have not been really hot, but you're really close on this. If you see here, you're just kind of nuzzling around in 9. It just needs to kind of curl its way higher. And if you start to see this thing like book over 2250, 23, I think 23, like that's when you're going to have a nice sweet spot on this. I mean, that's a good looking chart, and it's been very orderly on the pullback. And yesterday, oddly enough, Big C was holding up. So Big C has been a big trend. It's a software application stock. It went from 70 to 110. You get a 4-day pullback into 20 SMA, 50 SMA. You're starting to hold here. See how this 9 has been kind of holding it down? If this thing can like kind of shoot over there, I think it's going to start speeding up and we'll get this thing back into 110. It frankly looks like a swinger, but this is not a good market to swing trade in. I think it's going to be a good day trader. So I'd keep that Big C on the list. So Peloton, Solars, Big C, Snow. Data looks okay, semi-okay. It's a little bit thin. If you're already in it, though, then it's good. The Snow had like a big range break yesterday. 249 to 271. The second part of it is it had really good relative strength. What I mean by relative strength is when the market was taking down all its friends, right? A lot of tech stocks, this one was going. You have a level from yesterday at 270. If it breaks and holds over yesterday's high, then you're going to have probably some continuation. You don't have any resistance on this till 280. So you got another 2 points, and that's a mini resistance, right? When you think about resistance levels, if you have just like a little wick somewhere, it's considered resistance because like there's something there, but it's not a strong resistance, if you know what I mean. So you got a little wick up there, so it might be some resistance, but it's not going to be, it's not going to be anything crazy. Let me look at Roku. Yeah, Roku is really a nice looking chart too. I would keep that. That's actually a lot cleaner than some of the longs we have. Yeah, looks good, Danny. STC. Man, I hate trading this stock. I see what you're doing, Jacob Goldberg. It looks okay, but it is a shitty stock to trade. Good, that's the list. I'm sticking to it. Tesla. And you can clean up your watch list a little bit. Like, always take out all the stuff. If you have like your watch list gets too long, like, always ask yourself, like, would I really even trade this thing? And if you're like, no, I probably wouldn't, then, just take it off. Like this Twitter. Like, it's a nice looking chart, but Twitter stinks to trade. So, look, it's no point in me having it on. All right, good. That's the watch list. I'm sticking to it. Net pullback looks okay. Looks like all the other tech.